Boss Baby is Republican. Though considered a children's animated film, Boss Baby is now mainstream and used in memes and whatnot on social media platforms. Around 2020, when Biden became president of the United States and beat Donald Trump, there were an explosion of memes that put forth the theory that someone or a group in DreamWorks Animation Studio modeled Boss Baby after Donald Trump directly, although the filmmakers insist it wasn't meant as a direct parody and was more of a coincidence. Many viewers noticed parallels between the Boss Baby and Donald Trump. The movie features a baby in a suit who craves power, uses the phrase "you're fired," and is voiced by Alec Baldwin, famous for his Trump impersonations on Saturday Night Live, all details that led people to think that the film was taking shots at Trump and Republicans in general. Though these may seem like jabs at the president, with many claiming this was an anti-Trump film, a lot of people on the opposing side believed that they were actually being pro-Trump, and that the group behind the film were Republicans, as there was a clip in the Boss Baby series poking fun at liberals, where the girl says to the Boss Baby, "I'm sorry, I didn't know your bro was liberal." Something that stood out to people, as this was meant to be a children's show, though this was a pretty popular joke in general at the time, but for adult shows. Of course, the director of the film has never come out with his political opinions, so we may never know what intentions they truly had.
Did anybody else know that the Boss Baby franchise is a Republican thing? Watch this.
The garbage baby. Maybe he's just misunderstood. Oh, sorry. I didn't realize your brother was a liberal. A liberal.
The fuck? The Boss Baby is an hilarious, heartwarming movie with strong pro-life, pro-family, pro-business messages. What is this? A very strong Christian moral worldview set in a cartoon, comical with positive references to heaven, angels, Jesus, prayer, sacrifice, and reconciliation. What the f?
It's like negotiating with North Korea.
Bro, what?
Man confesses to murder during proposal. He gets down on one knee to propose. He set up his camera in the right place to capture the moment. It's a beautiful church. Everything seems perfect as he stares into his soon-to-be wife's eyes, until, out of nowhere, a random man starts to confess in front of the camera, interrupting the proposal video. He says, I'm sorry, I'm a murderer," claiming that he has taken a lot of people's lives. He looks dead into the camera and sounds totally serious, ruining an intimate moment with an evil attitude. His name is allegedly Bradley, as this is what people near him are calling him by as they tell him off. But he doesn't want to stop, apparently, selfishly hogging the camera space. The couple was able to respond, thankfully, and made an update video.
Sorry. I'm sorry, I'm a murderer. I'm a murderer.
Cousin.
I need help.
Oh my God, Bradley.
I've killed plenty of people. I do not want to kill anyone else.
Bradley, come on.
I've killed a
Come
lot
on.
of people. Please forgive me.
Come on, cuz. Bradley, look at me. We just came.
Please forgive me. Please, God, please forgive me for my sin. I am sorry for hurting other people. I do not want to hurt another human being as long as I live. I have asked you for forgiveness. Please help me.
Anthony Anderson, known for his comedic roles in films and TV shows from Kangaroo Jack to the series Blackish, as well as some TV commercials, he has been able to stand the test of time as a celebrity that will stay here. But in the midst of all this Diddy and Epstein news that is taking up the public spotlight, people have been going back and trying to find the strange things celebrities have said in the past, on TV, on air, things that could expose them today as weirdos. Well, they have found a strange clip of Anthony Anderson saying something so abhorrent and plainly bizarre that it's almost unbelievable that he admits to it. While interviewing Lindsay Lohan, he allegedly begins to kind of flirt with her while broadcasting live on air, asking questions about her love life. He yells that she's single when she gets awkwarded out about the matter and laughs, but then she blurts out that she is of an illegal age for those that are old. Saying that exactly. Hearing that, Anthony states that some people are into that and like him young, then alludes that he himself is that person, making one of the most awkwardest moments on TV, outing himself as a predator, and some believe allegedly trying to give a hint to the teen television superstar that he is interested in her. The crowd is laughing during all of this, by the way.
Every day's freaky for me. You're sick and you just kissed me on the lips with tongue?
I didn't kiss you on the lips.
All right. My children and I, we loved you in The Parent Trap. And you've grown up a whole lot since then.
Uh-oh.
I have something I'd like to add to your collection, and it's me.
Oh, my God.
aside from entertaining me in your room, what gentleman will be at the new pad with you?
No one.
I'm just talking about, like parties.
No, I don't have a
get-togethers.
boyfriend.
She's single.
But I'm illegal for people that are old.
Some men like them young. We ain't gonna mention no names, but I'm one of them.
This whole admitting to it on camera and trying to normalize the behavior is similar to the not released Epstein interview clip that has been making its rounds on Twitter and TikTok, where Epstein is voluntarily interviewed by Steve Bannon and having a good old jolly time. Steve Bannon, of course, was a senior advisor and chief White House strategist in Trump's first term, making him a well-known guy. 15 hours of footage is believed to have been unreleased, though Steve has released clips, and in one of these clips, Jeffrey Epstein states that he truly believes that the world would be a better place and will be once women are in charge of everything. Bannon then straight up confronts him with the allegations of his abuse and how contradictory it is to his comments. And he admits that he's a predator kinda, without saying it directly, but holds firm in his opinion. This whole interview is shot professionally and in high definition, and it looks documentary and television worthy, almost as if Epstein knew that he would get mega famous for his crimes and wanted to clear his name and or normalize his actions so he doesn't seem as bad. Hey, he's just like all the other creep celebrities that are worshipped and adored by people. This is all part of a much bigger theory that this is in fact trying to be normalized in mainstream popular media, with some out there theories on TikTok claiming that Trump and or all politicians in general on both sides of the aisle will eventually attempt to bring down, if not get rid of, the age of consent in order to keep the wealthy, political, and famous powerful individuals that have been tied to this whole Epstein trafficking sort of crimes out of legal trouble, as these positions of power collapsing would cause too much chaos. If the Epstein files were to be released fully without anything redacted, would cause a national security nightmare. Spongebob lost media. Talking Spongebob and Patrick were both Talking Tom-like clones that were claimed to have existed on either App Store or Play Store, and like many other obscure applications that once existed on these platforms, they have completely disappeared and become lost media. The only way we know this may have existed is thanks to a screen recording by YouTube account CK the Frog, titled Talking Patrick iPhone-iPod App Review. This video reminds me of all those videos I used to record as a kid on my iPod Touch and how much personal lost media we all have out there. During this era, the iPod was as relevant as the iPhone, dare I say a cheaper alternative. 2 million views later, people are now asking if he had kept it downloaded and kept it on his device in the comments, though he would announce that he had deleted it. Both the Patrick and Spongebob one did resurface later on though, and people have explored the apps. In a similar fashion, December 1st, 2010, Spongebob and Patrick are seen in this post drinking chalky milk, stating chocolate mustaches don't last long when you're a sponge. Comic strip style, it just seems like maybe a brief section from a Nickelodeon magazine, or maybe a Spongebob book. Like a sort of dairy advertisement, but digging deeper in the thread, we find that this might be a full-on animated video, and these are screenshots from it. Sponge Sebastian said, "I remember seeing the TV commercial version of that. At the end, SpongeBob solved the problem by putting his entire head in the milk glass." Another post reads, "I just recently found out from someone on the SB Mania forums that there exists a TV version of the Got Chocolate Milk SpongeBob print ad. Basically, it was pretty much the same as said print ad itself, but with SpongeBob at the end solving the problem by putting his entire head in a milk glass. It unfortunately hasn't resurfaced yet, though it might be on a Nickelodeon commercial break video from between February through March 2001. Pushing the interest further, out of nowhere, Sponge Sebastian posts a screenshot of the lost video. The frame depicting a VHS distorted SpongeBob and Patrick gulping down some brown milk. But the exact origin of this screenshot was unknown, with some claiming it derived from a Discord user and that it may have just not been fully uploaded online yet, but that someone definitely had a copy of it on VHS, since it had aired on TV since at least 2001 or near that time frame, according to a Bloomberg publication confirming it actually existed and wasn't a made up some sort of lost media freak thing. Finally, on October 5th, 2022, exciting update. I am currently in contact with a post-production supervisor who says he worked on both Shanghai and the Got Milk advert. He is going to look through his personal collection to see if he has a copy, and if not, is going to inquire at Nickelodeon Animation to see if anyone has a copy. I'm posting updates in the Lost Commercials Discord, but will post in here with any more significant information. The thrill to find it was once again ignited, and eventually Toon Archivist would find it in a VHS tape sold in a lot and posted on their channel, depicting Spongebob and Patrick fully animated in a Got Milk campaign advertisement, though the high quality version remains missing as the Nickelodeon Connect didn't update us with anything. Coco's normalization of authority. The afterlife in Coco has one thing in common with real life. They need to scan your face and insert your data in a Palantir type system to track you everywhere you go. That's normal in the world. Before you cross to the other side, welcome back amigo, he says as he welcomes them to a wall made to stop and frisk anyone before entering. Your paper better match up to what you claim, or else you will be denied and chased down by authorities. Law and order are things that held this film together, and you better not break any of them, it teaches, unless you are willing to suffer heavy consequences. You see, this film uses the deep cultural tradition of Dia de los Muertos as simply a backdrop. It doesn't really capture the lore accurately that comes with the religious act. No mentions of the Aztec origins or the differences in populations that celebrate this. Instead, it's more of a creative, eye-catching background but somewhat culturally accurate theme for this Disney picture, simplified for the masses. Disney opened a massive door to Mexican and or Latino consumers with this movie, who reside throughout the entirety of the Americas, including the United States of America, and the one thing they chose to focus on in this film is that enforcement is normal and is moral no matter what. It's almost comical that they would choose this lesson to be taught to Latino kids in America and throughout the Americas, knowing that Disney films are often ridiculed by people for being too quote-unquote woke and liberal. This is coming out of left field, like a great perfect film for Trump's America, like a friendly way to remind the children of immigrants that you gotta do things the right way and obey the government. When they ask for something, you do it, with people theorizing that Disney did this on purpose, knowing the political direction that America was heading. Some speculating that Disney was trying to get an attaboy from Trump, but Coco isn't the only film that has depicted the police state as normal and funny family friendly. This has been a thing since Shrek depicted police brutality, with Donkey getting a knee to his neck by the royal police. Rights are given to the elite and a specific group of people, but not to the unwanted group. They are not allowed into the land of the living. The system is always correct and will not allow them in. Hector is given this cold reality as he is dragged away by two officers and never taken seriously by the people around him. He cannot cross the bridge because he got caught. Same ways migrants cannot cross the border unless they have the resources to, like waiting through the 10-year-long process or being wealthy. In this case, in Coco, you need people to leave offerings for you to stay alive in the afterlife, and the more offerings you have, the richer you are in this realm, and the higher is your status, but you can also be a bum like Hector, depicting Miguel as a grateful kid who loves his family and neighborhood, facing little problems in the real world, although in his reality, he is a child laborer, a common tragedy found in poor parts of southern Mexico and throughout. Coco also shows how even when systems do work, the people that have to go through that system, even if they are granted access by it, still have to be scared and worried because they never know when that system could switch up on them. This could be seen in the worry during the facial scan sequences in the film. Even though they are approved and have done everything right, the people crossing the bridge have to make sure to directly stare at that facial recognition system and hope to God that the stars aligned, having a worried look before getting the green light, and showing a sign of relief after being approved. But this isn't only a lesson being taught to kids of migrants, not that it was their intention to target them, but to all kids in general, that facial recognition systems controlled by who knows what, in this case Disney I guess, are normal everyday actions and always right. And if denied, it's better to understand that you are not smarter than that system. Not to mention that it is posed as the morally correct, neutral system that exists in the afterlife, although this isn't even a thing in the actual Dia de los Muertos lore. Not to mention, the border patrol in the afterlife is kind of out of place. Why would they even exist there? Even the picture thing isn't a cold hard rule in the creation of an altar when practicing Dia de los Muertos, as this ritual predates the invention of photography, so it may have simply been included as a sort of reference to the struggle that Mexicans or other Latinos have historically faced with migration into the United States, without having to criticize it directly, I guess. Magic Bullet Freak Accident. On September 29th, 1991, at the Dallas Pistol and Revolver Club in Texas, 15-year-old Leland Harold Trey Cooley III was sitting in the lobby of the Airgun building, wearing a white baseball cap and just hanging out with other spectators while his father, Leland H. Butch Cooley II, competed outside on the pistol range when a freak sequence of negligence and bad luck turned a casual day at the range into a forensic horror story. Out on the 15-yard line, a competition shooter named Dan Smith stepped up with a heavily modified .45 caliber pistol, tuned like many competitors' guns to fire faster with a lighter, shorter trigger pull, and loaded with his own homemade ammunition. Overpowered rounds built around hard steel core projectiles lubricated with red wax and pushed by an extra hot powder charge that could send them screaming out of the barrel at around 1,200 feet per second, faster and more penetrating than typical handgun ammo. Smith pulled the trigger and the first shot went off as normal, but during the recoil before he could reset, a second round discharged unintentionally while the muzzle was angled higher than the target. That one accidental shot, fired in a fraction of a second, barely missed the wooden backstop structure and then cleared the dirt safety berm behind the range, a berm that was only about 12 feet high instead of the roughly 20-foot standard many ranges use, reportedly sailing over it by just a few inches. Past the berm, the bullet punched straight through the aluminum siding of the airgun building, entered the storage room, missed the broom and pipes by just inches, struck an interior wall, ricocheted off a ceiling tile, then plunged downward, passed through a plaster wall, and after all of those ricochets and penetrations, still had enough energy to hit Trey in the temple through the front of his white cap as he sat in the lobby innocently, dropping him instantly. He was rushed to Parkland Memorial Hospital in Dallas, and doctors fought to save him, but after 6 hours he was pronounced dead. At first, investigators, including Detective Tom Pease and crime scene investigator David Taylor, weren't even sure where the shot came from. They considered the outdoor range and also the nearby railroad tracks as possible sources, but found no physical evidence or witnesses supporting the idea of a shot fired from the tracks. Forensic firearms expert Larry Fletcher collected pistols and ammo from all the competitors, firing test rounds for comparisons, and found that many shooters were using non-standard handmade .45 caliber steel core bullets and modified pistols, which made the job harder because a lot of bullets looked similar, but the bullet recovered from Trey's head was in an unusually good condition despite hitting multiple surfaces, confirming it was a very hard custom projectile, and it showed smudged rifling marks consistent with high pressures and heat from an overloaded powder charge. The key clue was lubrication. That bullet carried traces of red wax, and among all the ammunition tested, only Dan Smith's rounds used that distinctive red wax, which tied the fatal shot back to his gun. To make the story clear for the court, Trey's father hired attorney Mike Schmidt and 3D forensic reconstruction expert Steve Irwin, who used laser trajectory mapping and animation to recreate the bullet's path from Smith's firing position up over the too short berm, through the flawed safety waffles, loose wooden boards that should have been backed by steel or concrete but weren't, into the building, through the storage room, off the ceiling, and down into Trey's head. Investigators also found multiple old bullet holes in the aluminum siding of the airgun building, proving that stray rounds had been escaping that range for some time, and that the danger was known but ignored. In the end, the shooting was officially ruled an accident with no criminal charges because there was no intent to harm, but it was also blamed on a combination of negligence, competitors using modified firearms and overpowered homemade steel core ammunition, and the club failing to maintain basic safety standards for berm height and backstop construction. Trey's family sued the club and the shooters for negligence and ultimately received a civil settlement reported at over $3 million. The outdoor range was shut down, and the club redesigned safety measures around the airgun area. The case was later featured on the true crime forensic show Forensic Files in the episode titled The Magic Bullet. Autotainment. This is in reference to the VeggieTales episode in which Larry the Cucumber makes a startling correct prediction of what entertainment will transform into in the future, stating that in the future the entertainment we will consume will be randomly generated by a robot, similar to what we're experiencing right now with the rise of AI, and in particular the Sora app that allows anyone to generate realistic eye-catching media, using famous celebrities to cartoon characters and animals. One commenter on this theory on TikTok states, creator of VeggieTales had a divine revelation and decided to make Larry talk about it instead of warning us directly. This, of course, is alluding to the fact that this animated show started off as a hardcore Christian show with biblical themes and entire episodes dedicated to explaining a particular book in the Bible, putting forth the theory that the director of the episode and series had a divine revelation of what the future had in store and warned us through the use of his vessel, in this case, the VeggieTales series, leaving many shocked when they come across this clip, believing that Larry really predicted the AI slop that was to come, from the Kirkified memes to all the bizarre Sora AI slop that is thrown up on TikTok and YouTube Shorts. One comment states, "You know, it's crazy. I wouldn't doubt God would put something like this inside of a TV show about him." Every US individual is now being tracked, allegedly. There was recently a case where a man was pulled over in Texas, not because he committed a traffic violation or was driving under the influence. It was because of his suspicious driving habits. So did they get a lead from a detective that he had some sort of drug connection and found a route that he would take to deliver it to someone, part of a greater operation? No, Alec was not doing movie-level moves like that at all. He was just doing a work trip that he had done many times before, so being pulled over and questioned was a new life scenario for him, as he is a law-abiding citizen. He knew he was innocent. This all puzzled him. What he didn't know was that he was constantly being tracked via his license plates by cameras that alerted the local police that he was a suspicious individual, based on the way he moved throughout the state. It didn't matter if he was driving with family or even in a work truck, it was still marked as suspicious, and they began to ask to search his vehicle, though he is a smart man and decided to exercise his rights, deciding to opt out of the search, so they brought in a drug dog to sniff his truck, and of course the dog alerted, leading to a search on his truck where they found their biggest bust yet. No, actually, they found nothing at all, other than the kids' seats in the back and food crumbs on the floor. And what was found out later is that the police were already waiting there specifically to pull him over. It wasn't that they so happened to be there at the right place and time, catching him drifting, as they said, justifying pulling him over. They literally set it up beforehand. There was also another case recently where a woman was told by police, "You can't get a breath of fresh air in and out of that place without us knowing," referencing the power that they had through the use of flock cameras that were placed throughout the entire city. Flock cameras are an AI-driven surveillance system made by Flock Safety that uses automatic license plate recognition cameras to capture vehicle data, like license plate, make, model, and color. This data is stored in a centralized searchable database that can be accessed by law enforcement and private organizations for purposes such as solving crimes, finding missing people, and tracking stolen vehicles. Or at least this is what they claim the majority of this info is used for. The company claims that this data is automatically deleted after 30 days and does not use facial recognition, though many allegedly say otherwise, all alleged, that they trained it to identify different types of people and their body shapes, race, and gender, as well as what they're wearing. Flock claims that they mainly only focus on license plates though, but that's up for the public to make their mind up on whether they trust these companies. I remember watching early conspiracy theory YouTube in the late 2000s to early 2010s, and this is exactly what they were warning us about happening in America.
You know why I'm here?
Yeah.
Okay. You drive through the town of quite often?
Nope.
You don't?
No, I work from home.
Okay. You know we have cameras in that town and you can't get a breath of fresh air in or out of that place without us knowing, correct?
Okay.
Okay. So you don't drive there, but you've been driven through, what, 20 times this month?
Probably my husband or I.
Okay. But this is you, right?
Both of us, yes. We
Okay.
both drive the same vehicle.
Okay. You're going to stand by, you don't know why I'm here. There was a theft of a package from on Tuesday. Like I said, we have cameras everywhere in that town. You can't get a breath of fresh air in or out without us knowing.
Right. Kind of funny because we have cameras on our truck, so we can show you exactly where we were.
Well, I already know where you were. I have it on camera. I have you on camera walking up, ringing the doorbell, taking the package, and literally running away. The megapixel on the new Ring cameras are unbelievable. It is her. It is 100%. It's locked in. There is zero doubt. I wouldn't have come here unless I was 100% sure. But I'm just telling you
attorney.
It is, well, you have to appear for this.
But, and there's no way we can see the video or anything now.
If you go to court, you may.
Why can't we see it now?
Because you have not been honest with me, so I'm not going to.
God helmet. The God helmet is one of those ideas that sounds like pure science fiction at first glance. An experimental device that claims to nudge the brain into brush-ups with the divine by bathing your temporal lobes in extremely weak, carefully patterned electromagnetic fields. Developed in the 1980s and 1990s by Canadian neuroscientist Michael Persinger and engineer Stanley Coren, the apparatus itself is surprisingly low-tech looking, essentially a modified snowmobile helmet with a ring of small coils, solenoids placed around the head, especially over the temporal lobes, all wired to a computer that feeds them quote-unquote complex magnetic patterns. During a typical session, a subject sits alone in a dark, sound-dampened chamber that also functions as a Faraday cage, shielding out most external electromagnetic noise, so only the helmet's fields and the Earth's own magnetism are present. The fields generated by the helmets are incredibly weak compared to the EM field from a landline, handset, or a hairdryer, and about 1 million times weaker than a medical transcranial magnetic stimulation. But instead of brute force, it relies on intricate waveforms based on recordings of limbic and temporal brain activity, like the burst firing of structures such as the amygdala. Persinger's big hypothesis, which he framed within neurotheology, was that many religious and mystical experiences are side effects of temporal lobe processes, and that by subtly disturbing the balance between the left and right hemispheres, what he calls vectorial hemisphericity, you could cause the normal background right hemisphere self to intrude into conscious awareness, showing up as a sensed presence, a feeling that someone or something is in the room with you even when you're physically alone. In his lab reports, Persinger claimed that a large majority of subjects, often at least 80%, described powerful altered states while wearing the helmet, presences that felt like angels, dead relatives, abstract entities, or in some cases, outright encounters with God, along with intense emotions, out-of-body sensations, and a feeling of cosmic significance to the moment. These results made the God helmet a media magnet. It showed up in documentaries like the BBC's God on the Brain, where science writer Richard Dawkins tried it and mostly just felt odd and a bit dizzy, while psychologist Susan Blackmore reported one of the most extraordinary experiences of her life in the same exact setup, and journalists from places like Wired walked away simultaneously intrigued and underwhelmed. That split response, some people having mind-bending encounters, others feeling almost nothing, sits at the core of the controversy. Critics argue that the dramatic reports are driven less by magnetism and more by suggestibility, expectation, and the power of being told that a machine might let you feel God. A Swedish team led by Fer Granqvist tried to replicate Persinger's work under strict double-blind conditions and found that whether people reported mystical or presence experiences was predicted entirely by their personality traits and suggestibility, not by whether the magnetism field was actually on or off, concluding that the effects were psychological rather than electromagnetic. Persinger fired back, though, that their protocol didn't truly match his, and thus didn't count as a real replication.